What's up, nerds? Welcome back to another episode of Hops Geek News, a podcast where we talk about comic books, movies, TV shows, and we have a beer of the week. First things first, we have recently moved our RSS feed to Spreaker, who has decided to bring us on board. So you can find all of our podcasting episodes at Hops Geek News. Search the name of the show. If you've stumbled upon us, don't know where to find us, search the show. And then go ahead on all of social media. Go ahead and search Hops Geek News. And you can find us on patreon.com/HopsGeekNews. If you want to support the show, go ahead, subscribe to us. YouTube, TikTok, Instagram, Twitter, Facebook, all of that good stuff. We really appreciate it. And we just, everything that comes into us, we give back to the show. So thank you for that. That said, I am Matt. With me is Lauren. Today's episode is going to be all about Disney theme parks and Universal theme parks during the month of Halloween. As we continue on our Halloween journey, we're going to talk about all the different things Disney does, Universal Halloween Horror Nights, all that good stuff. We have a really special guest that is going to be joining us just a little bit from now. So the beer of the week for both of us, I believe, is actually Ghost Blimp from Tactical Brewing. It's in Orlando, Florida. It's a double New England IPA. It's brewed with Pacific Sunrise, Citra, and Vic's Secret. Or it's not Vic's, it's Vic's Secret, but I can't help but be like, what's Victoria's Secret doing in this beer right now? And yeah, brewed in Orlando. Really great brewery. It's a 9% ABV. Lauren sent this last year. This year, actually, I think was even better. I know you rave.
I agree.
I think this year's was the best that they've done. I can't rave about this beer enough. I wish I had another one because I would down another one right now. It was so, for a double IPA, insanely smooth.
I do have another one, and it's taking everything in me not to go get another one because it is my favorite beer.
It is so good.
And Tactical only releases it at Halloween time. This was, so the first IPA in Orlando that I was ever like, oh my gosh, Orlando can make really good New Englands was Sideward. Yacht Money.
Oh, yeah.
And then the next was Tactical Ghost Blimp. And when this came out, I remember the first time I had it at the brewery and I was with my dad, and the way my dad talked about this beer, you would have thought he was William Shakespeare. Like he's like the notes
and 7 years ago.
I wish I had recorded it. So it has become like a staple for my dad and I every year too. So I picked up some because he's coming over on Halloween, and I'm like, you and I are going to pass out candy and drink Ghost Blimp while, Josh walks around with the kids. That is a sacrifice I make every Halloween, to sit in the driveway with A Nightmare Before Christmas on the garage, drinking beer, passing out candy.
Yeah.
It's like a reward.
That's fair. It's a reward.
Hey, after I carve all
honestly,
the pumpkins and dress all the kids and do all the shit and make sure they have something healthy in them before all the candy. It's my reward.
I don't even bother, but Tactical is good. And this year's Ghost Blimp, they really outdid themselves. I feel like last year's was pretty good, but this one was even better. But maybe it's because I was tasting pretty shitty beers on our previous podcast before this.
No, I think you're right. Last year was good, but the year before was really good. And I think this year it's back to really good.
I would say wicked good.
Well,
Duality of man.
I think really and wicked, are they synonymous for
They are the same. So rolling in, what did we mess up on? Tim cameo alert. We have a mess up from last week. What is it, Lauren?
So Tim pointed out we were talking about Leslie Nielsen because they're bringing back Naked Gun. And I said, don't call me Shirley. So Leslie Nielsen did not say that in Naked Gun. He said that in the movie Airplane. I did not fact check this, but I trust him.
I trust him. I didn't fact check it either. I probably haven't seen those movies in a long time. So that's okay. You know what, Tim? You can have this dub. Take the dub. You've earned it.
He's older than us. We have to respect our elders.
True. That is true. Well, what have we read or watched this week? I'm going to let you go first on this one because I've got some thoughts. I've got some things to say that have been weighing heavily on my chest.
I can't imagine what they are. I finally finished Smallville. I got through 10 seasons pretty quick. overall it was really fun, and I'm glad I watched it, and I'm glad I got to see. I have like a newfound respect for Superman in a weird way, which, spoiler alert to our news section we're about to come up on. Apparently, Man of Steel 2 is in the works, which I'm very excited for.
Yeah.
Henry Cavill is my favorite Superman, but I might have to say now that what's his face is my favorite Clark Kent, Tom Welling.
Really? Wow.
It's really a great story because
boy Henry Cavill like that.
No. Okay, so here's the thing that they did so well with Smallville is it's truly Clark Kent. He's not Superman. They never once call him Superman in that. There are jokes made about him being super, or are you this, or are you a Superman? Like, he's never called that. And I watched stuff with him recently, like I think it was a New York Comic-Con thing I've watched, or some panel I watched recently. And in his contract, it said no flights, no tights. He had no flights or tights until the very last episode. Spoilers. Yeah. There were times where it seemed like he was flying, and then it would be like, oh, this person's taking over that person. But I will say, when he finally got the tights, I go, please don't have the underwear. Please don't have the underwear. And sadly, he had the underwear. Once they started getting rid of the underwear for the superheroes, like...
No.
Underoos, it made it so much better. No woman wants to
Imagine getting your ass kicked by somebody wearing their underwear on the outside of their costume.
It's like, why? Why was that
that's
ever?
That's a power move. That's why.
A thing. I mean, even Wolverine had it. How?
You're getting your ass beat by somebody who wears their underwear on the outside of their costume. That's how.
I don't know. It's very unattractive. And honestly, you can tell it's all CGI when he's doing it. But okay, so leading into this, I finished Smallville, and I like to have a treadmill show where I don't have, I won't watch Andor on the treadmill. I did catch up on Andor.
I did, but
I wouldn't watch it on the treadmill. That needs my full and undivided attention. So I started season 2 of Superman and Lois. This is a great show. I highly recommend Superman and Lois. I hope it doesn't jump the shark like a lot of CW shows do.
But it is a good show.
You're watching it?
I watched half the first season.
Oh, nice. Because when I was watching the first season, you said you hadn't watched any of it.
I caught a few of the episodes, but it's sparingly. It's hard because there's so many shows, and so that and Stargirl. I've watched a lot of Stargirl, but I'm very behind on Superman and Lois. But I would agree that Tyler, I can't pronounce his last name right now because I've been drinking about 7 beers.
The guy Christina Applegate slept with in Hall Pass.
Yes, he's a very good Superman. Very good Superman, and it's a very good show by all accounts. Ken from the ODPH podcast talks about it all the time.
Yeah, no, he is a great Superman, and it's fun because the show Superman's not the focus. It's the family. So that's a lot of fun. But it was fun going from Smallville and which they are connected because they, obviously the multiverse, and they had a scene with Tom Welling, and these two Supermen had a scene together in Crisis on Infinite Earths. But there was a scene where he's wearing the underwear and someone's like, nice costume. And he's like, thanks, my mom made it. But he doesn't have the underwear anymore. And Henry Cavill never had the underwear anymore because he's
a stud. You could put underwear on Henry Cavill and it doesn't matter. Dude's a freaking beast.
Oh, he is amazing. Oh, I can't wait to bring him back. And I love that they wanted him to shave his chest. And he's like, no, why would I do that? Good for you, Henry Cavill.
Ah, what a snack. What else?
He is a snack.
Did you catch the finale of She-Hulk?
The finale of what?
She-Hulk.
Oh, She-Hulk. Yes. I thought you said Shield. Well, I'm like, that was so 2 years ago.
Let's save She-Hulk for after Halloween. Because I feel like we can do a breakdown of the series. And there was somebody that wanted to come on the podcast and talk about it. I can't remember right now off the top of my head. Going to be honest with you. Piece of shit right here. But somebody wanted to come on and talk about it. And so we're going to bring them on. I just have to look through our DMs. That said,
okie dokie.
You caught up on Andor. I watched Andor. This is the absolute best Star Wars we have gotten.
Yeah, I'm loving it.
It is so heavy. The fact that you feel the weight of the rebellion. You really do. You're every movement, every choice, every actor, every person, every droid, everything that has to do with this, you feel the weight of it. And it's the rebellion is being born, and it's not the original trilogy played it off very lighthearted, as you know, it kind of should, right? I mean, you're talking Jedi and all this stuff, but what is happening right now is we are ground level consequences. We're name dropping Palpatine. We're seeing Mon Mothma.
Oh, she's my new favorite character. Fuck, she's awesome.
Ooh, simp. Anyways, she's got this weight, and she's not telling people what she's doing, but she's trying to expand. And you know, Stellan Skarsgård's out there, like, you knew this would happen. So like, we got to, like, my network's built. We're now doing the rebellion, and Cassian Andor's out there, and he's starting to believe in the rebellion. And it's just this thing that's coming together, and the on scene locations, all that stuff. This show is just absolutely the standard for Star Wars going forward. This and Rogue One are amazing. And we're not talking Jedi and Sith, all that aside, because you can't, it's really kind of not fair if you compare the two, but just seeing the buildings and the foundations of the rebellion from a ground perspective, and how much this means to somebody and how heavy it is, it's insane. It's really good, amazing. And this is peak Star Wars to me.
No, I agree. And I think what they're doing so beautifully is, you know, like you said, they kept the 70s ones lighthearted. And I think that was because in the past it was like, this is the villain, this is the good guy, and it's very clear who's who. And, you know, we're seeing that in Marvel too, but I think this is the first Star Wars show that has really been like humanizing the bad guys and demonizing the good guys.
Well, yeah, but at the same time is like, you're seeing how the Empire affects the normal everyday person in the galaxy, and then like what a small ripple does to everybody in the galaxy. It's really good.
But like when you watched the scene with the locals and the Empire watching the meteorites or whatever, the meteor shower.
People. Aliens,
they both had the same look on their face of like, and like you just
humanizes
saw like
both sides. It adds weight to when the Death Star blows up that these are all people, right? They're all doing a job.
Right. But then you also saw the scene where she was basically, I mean, we're going to do spoilers, I guess, for Andor here, which I don't really want to do because I know a lot of people, myself included, like it wasn't like I need to watch this the second it came out.
Yeah, I was just giving a blanket like this is peak.
Yeah, so I'll keep it vague. Somebody was given an order to kill somebody else that you thought was a good guy, and they were a good guy, and like I didn't expect that. And then I see on the bad side, I'm like humanizing with this one person. I'm like, yeah, you go, you do it. And I was like, wait, no, you're bad.
Well, it also have a lot of like, is this person good? Is this person bad? Like you can't tell with some of these characters, which is fantastic.
And that's true to war. It's like, how
everybody
many
thinks
actual civilians? Yeah. So I think they're doing a great job. And I don't want to say anything else. I'll spoil it, but I'm truly,
I won't say anything else either. Andor. I am very behind on House of Dragon. I've caught a couple episodes. I just haven't been in the mood. I guess it's a very heavy show, very serious.
There's only one left.
I'm like
which
3
should
episodes
actually
behind.
come out. I think the night this is released.
Yeah, I'm 3 episodes behind. So I just haven't been in the mood for it. So I'm not even going to touch that. I watched They Them on Peacock. It's with Kevin Bacon. He's kind of hosting, it's a slasher film, I guess, if you can call it that. He's hosting a LGBTQ camp where he's converting them to being straight. Not very good. There's like hardly any good kills. And the killer at the end is very just bland and blah. And it's not a good movie. It's just not. It's not a good horror slasher. It has a lot of promise to it, but it falls flat in the kills and the suspense and the killer itself. Yeah, that one's just kind of bland. I watched Grave Encounters, which is a 2011 kind of found footage film where a group of paranormal TV show people go into a mental hospital. This was actually supposed to be my TikTok for today, but I don't know how I forgot. So whatever, I'll do it tomorrow. They go into a mental hospital, spend the night, and then the demons and ghosts and stuff and that, and then things progress from there. Very good. I had been seeing this pop up on my Netflix feed. You can actually watch on Shudder right now. I'd been seeing it pop up and I've always ignored it. Like, oh, this is pretty cheesy. This is pretty lame. But actually, no, it's very suspenseful. There's a lot of moments where you don't necessarily see the things that are haunting them and you don't really see any of the deaths. It's the suspense that's leading up to these deaths and these things like that. And if you have Shudder, go watch this movie. It's very, very good. And then the last thing that I watched was Halloween Ends. If you caught me live tweeting this movie, I was not happy. There were people like, I'm living for your reviews. I'm not happy with this at all. I'm not. It's a very bad movie. To be the final film in this arc of the franchise, like Jamie Lee Curtis's final stepping into this franchise, it was stupid. I don't even care about how much screen time Michael gets because he has even less of it in 1978. It was the things that they tried to introduce. All the kills were like off screen. The only worth part seeing this movie, the only good parts of this movie is watching the final 20 minutes. But even then, it was like 5 minutes total. Not a good movie. You can't pick, like, Halloween Kills was a better movie than this. And even that was a mess. And coming off
of Busta Rhymes.
No, that's Resurrection. In Resurrection, I'll say it. I liked Resurrection more than Halloween Ends because Resurrection, it was entertaining. Resurrection.
Which one was Halloween Ends?
The one that just came out that's on Peacock right now.
Oh, okay. Sorry. There's a lot of them. I know somebody did like an apology video
finally watch this
to Busta Rhymes after this came out.
Yeah, exactly. Like Busta Rhymes, at least we got the iconic line, trick or treat, motherfucker. Like, I love that line. I quote it all the time. It was a mess of a film, but it was nowhere near as bad as this. And I'll say that. I will die on that hill. This movie tried to introduce some things that didn't make sense. It was just a mess. It was awful. Carrie and I were just sitting there watching it like, what the fuck are we doing right now? This movie sucks. I'm so glad I didn't pay money to see this in theaters because it was just a mess. And I'm going to leave it there. Otherwise, I can rant for a long time. So why don't you hit us with the news before we go into our main topic?
So like I mentioned before, Man of Steel 2 is officially in development. That's amazing. So a legit sequel to A Christmas Story is coming to HBO Max on November 17th, and it will feature Peter Billingsley as Ralphie. So I know there have been attempts at sequels before, but I believe this is the first one with Peter Billingsley. The trailer left everything to the imagination. I don't know what's going to happen. I'm here for it. I'm open-minded. I loved the original. We'll see what happens. This movie's 39 years old and it takes place in 1940. So I'm guessing this movie will be 1979-ish.
Yeah.
Sony has bought the rights to Dumb Money, a movie about the GameStop short squeeze. I think that's pretty interesting. A Twister sequel will start filming in spring 2023. They say they want Helen Hunt, but she hasn't been cast yet. I don't even know why that's been announced if they don't know if Helen Hunt's.
Okay. I can't believe we're doing the sequel to this.
Well, I mean, Twisters happen every day. Maybe they're going to find another cow.
I love it. I love Twister. I love this movie, but I like how, I agree with you. Why did we announce this if we don't even have a confirmation that she's on board yet? But it's following their daughter.
Twister's not really a movie you need a sequel to, especially since Bill Paxton.
Bill Paxton. He passed away.
Paxton, yeah.
But Twister's a very good movie. It's got a lot of people. Yeah. There's a lot of famous people in this movie.
But they unpacked and dealt with everything in the movie.
It's about Twister tornado chasing. So you could very easily do a sequel, but it'd be straight to DVD.
Did Carrie, what As You Wish guy, did he die in that movie? He died, right?
Yeah. I'm pretty sure they got demolished by that F5 at the end.
Oh, right. The thing went through the windshield. So they can't even bring him back.
Nope, he's done.
All right. Well, starting January 11th, 2023, there will be some variant covers of some comics each month on Amazing Spider-Man featuring Mickey and Friends. You can Google this. It's Attractions Magazine released it. Our Attractions website, and the artwork is amazing. It's all like Mickey and Donald and Goofy and Minnie as Marvel characters, and it's beautiful. Oscar Isaac has confirmed he is in talks with Marvel to bring Moon Knight back. I mean, if Moon Knight wasn't coming,
man,
back, like that would be some bullshit.
Straight up.
Uncanny Experience is coming to Minneapolis, Minnesota. This is going to be an immersive fan convention featuring it's Xavier's Mansion. This will be September 16th to 17th, 2023. And my last piece of news, if you are a Disney fan going to Hollywood Studios, Fantasmic is back. And that's all I got.
It's back.
Guess who's back?
I don't actually have anything because all the hard-hitting news we both had.
Well,
so
he put in his notes that I stole it all.
Lauren took all my news. That's fine.
That's what he wrote.
She took all the news. We have a really great segment coming up with DeAndre, who is the theme park Blerd. You can follow him on any social media site by looking up that name. And we're going to talk about some Disney and Universal at Halloween to kind of kick off our spooky month. So that said, we will see you in just a moment. What's up, everybody, and welcome back to our main topic, where we're going to be talking Disney and Universal at Halloween. If you've never been, let me tell you that Disney parks during the holidays, Halloween/Christmas, are probably the best times of year. They've become insanely popular. But I'm not the resident expert. Lauren pretends to be the resident expert. We actually have a resident expert that is going to be joining us. So our new friend to the show, DeAndre, is here. And DeAndre, welcome to the show, man. Go ahead and introduce yourself. Tell us what you're drinking, and then give us a little background on your origin story.
What's up, everybody? I'm DeAndre. You may know me on TikTok as the theme park Blerd, or on Instagram under the same name. And what I am drinking nothing super fancy, pretty much just a white rum vodka mix with grenadine and chased with the Shark Attack Mountain Dew. And we'll just call it the Shark Attack.
Yo, that sounds fancy. A vibe. Yeah, that's a vibe right there. That sounds good.
I appreciate that.
We've done many a Shark Week episode, so I love it. So tell us a little bit how, because obviously, theme park, you do a lot of theme park stuff and whatnot. So how did that come about? Did you grow up just loving the theme parks? Is this something you got into when you were older? Like, tell us a little bit about how you decided to make that your handle and get into, creating content in that arena.
It's a bit of a long-winded story. So, of course, I definitely grew up going to theme parks, and I definitely had pretty much almost all of the mainstream ones within access to me growing up in St. Petersburg, Florida. I'm pretty much a good 20 to 30 minute drive away from Busch Gardens. Hour some change away from Disney and Universal and SeaWorld. And if I wanted to go up to Georgia to go to Six Flags and other places, I could we can make it happen. And basically my mom, aunt, grandma would always take me and my sister, like every other month, like to go up to Universal or Disney for the holiday stuff and whatnot, and SeaWorld and everything. And pretty much definitely just grew up with it. And then the growing up and going kind of turned into, if I can get good enough, I kind of want to be like an Imagineer or something creative for this, which I'm kind of working on, but it's going because your boy can't draw or anything like that. I don't have that kind of talent.
It's okay. Me neither. People don't realize drawing is we all wish we can draw because there's so many things going on inside our heads, right? But practice, I guess, is the easiest. That's what everyone says. And it's like, yes, I know practice, but I suck.
No, but it's multiple. It's not just practice, though. It is natural talent. I am actually good at drawing Disney characters, but I take a really long time. And the Disney true talent people, they're like, oh, you want Eeyore doing this and doing that and doing that, and they're like, here you go. And meanwhile, I'm like, I need to see an exact picture of Eeyore doing that, and I'm going to need 5 hours to copy him doing that. So, but a lot now though, it's pivoted so much to where you also need that graphic design education as well.
Yeah, it's a bunch of layers that kind of go into it, and I'm already kind of behind when you don't have the practical art and whatnot. So, but I'm working on it. Sorry for interrupting.
No, you're good. I do want to ask some particularly hard-hitting questions. So my first question for anybody who's into the theme parks is Canada or Mexico? Oh, I'm an outlier.
You're an outlier?
You're going to say Mexico, huh? Oh, I'm an outlier. I don't do margaritas. I do beer.
France. Next question.
France. Oh,
all right. You pulled that one. All right. Okay. So anybody who's never been to Epcot or is not very familiar, it's always a running joke. Like, you start in Mexico or you're wrong if you're drinking around the world, because you got to get margaritas. I don't love margaritas, so I usually go right to Canada to get beer. However, when we are properly drinking around the world, we start in Mexico and then we go to Canada. But there are people who will come in from the resorts and boardwalk and they will start in France, which is a bold move. Bold move, Cotton.
so France. Tell us why. What appeals to France in the whole where to start debate?
Okay, so one, because I like to cause chaos, because everyone is always arguing, oh, Canada, oh, Mexico, blah 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 blah. Like, now, if I had to pick between the two, I guess I'd probably go Canada first, mainly just because if you go, like, well, honestly, actually, you know what? Forget that answer. I feel like literally it just depends on where you start. Kind of depends on how your day goes. How you start depends on how you want your day to go. Because starting in Mexico is just drinking around the world on hard mode, in my opinion. Because you're starting with tequila.
I mean, if you start with tequila, you start with tequila and margaritas. People don't realize, like, they are sneaky good, and you start with tequila anytime. It's just, my friend.
When you can get a tequila flight in Mexico too. Like, if you go to the bar, yeah. Okay. So my thing though is, if I was starting in Boardwalk, I would go to the pub, and that's another reason why I tend to go Canada first, because your next stop is the pub, and I mean, you got to get a Guinness.
I will say, I'm not super big on Guinness.
You do. You have to get a Guinness. But I'm kind of
coming around to it.
It is one of those things that sometimes, like, it is a flavor that kind of has to grow. It's like IPAs.
Yes.
The first time
go on. I know Lauren has more questions. Hit us before we dive into the different Halloween and type.
All right. So what's your favorite country?
Favorite country. I feel like it's going to be a biased answer just because I really enjoyed the moonshine sours, and also mainly just the moonshine sours, which is also another reason why I start in France, because I want to get to the moonshine sours quicker. and the American
sours.
Yeah.
That's got to be America.
I like how he's so shy about it. He's like, oh god.
Well, do they sell that in the barbecue
so
place?
It's literally like the side window right next to Regal Eagle.
Okay, yeah. That's usually where I get my Cigar City High Life. I never even looked at the liquor. They have moonshine. Well done, Disney. Okay, what is your favorite park? You can say any park. It doesn't even have to be Disney.
Okay. So when it comes to my favorite park,
and for all you listening at home, answer along with us.
The favorite park, I am definitely, again, it's a bias. It's a bias just because it was my first theme park I've done with like all my family and whatnot.
They're favorites. They're all biased.
It's true. But I'd have to say Islands of Adventure, because like there's just a connection there, and I've been going so much that I literally think of it as my little brother.
Well, I mean, you got Marvel. Okay. I mean, it's the original Marvel superheroes, and now you got Velocicoaster and Hagrid. So, I mean, that's solid.
It's great. It's a great lineup.
Okay. Now, if you had to pick a favorite Disney park, I told you these were hard hitting questions. I don't fuck around.
You're getting me. Favorite Disney park. It's funny because I'm like, the more I go to it is because it's because originally it's my least visited park. I'm starting to have a more appreciation for Epcot, but as a creative and someone who likes that attention to detail kind of thing, Animal Kingdom definitely is up there for me, even though it isn't up there for a lot of people. because I like to find those
very underrated. 100%. Yeah,
I like to find those little Easter eggs and just stuff that happens around the world.
Nice. I like that. Like a lot of people sleep on Animal Kingdom. I think because it's the newest park, and I think a lot of people don't realize like you got to go left, you got to take the trail, you got to do the train to Rafiki's Planet Watch. Like you gotta to walk the path around the tree, and a lot of people don't realize that's there. So if you actually check out Animal Kingdom, like it gets slept on a lot.
I think a lot of people, because I sleep on Animal Kingdom, I never thought it was that great. But I don't think a lot of people realize that Animal Kingdom actually has rides, because they hear animal.
Oh, it's got some great rides.
The number one thing that a lot of people realize that I've heard is like, you can take the safari. That's all anybody talks about. It's like, yeah, you can do that. But they also have Pandora.
Safari ride's amazing.
And there's a lot of other things at
Mount
Magic
Everest,
Kingdom. Yeah.
Dinosaur. Okay, my last question, and this will bring us into our Halloween stuff. What's your favorite theme park for a Halloween event? So you got Halloween, Not So Scary, Horror Nights. You can pick a Spooktacular. I mean, SeaWorld Spooktacular is not the best, but
hey, listen, hey, don't sleep on Spooktacular. So like for a budget, it'll get you where you go if you want to get candy or whatnot. It's for the kids.
Yeah, that's true. SeaWorld does a great Christmas event, but Spooktacular. Well, they did start Halloween this year.
Yes,
Spooktacular is for the kids.
Because basically SeaWorld and Busch Gardens are under the same umbrella, so they can pretty much intersect on those kinds of things, which is interesting. And you guys are going to kind of hate me on this, because I'm definitely going to pick Not So Scary, just because I've been going to that for years, and it's great.
Not going to hate on that at all.
That's like a classic.
But like, that's not the part you guys are going to hate me on.
Oh, no.
So I'm a big scaredy cat, so I never officially done Halloween Horror Nights. Oh, no. I know a lot about the event and whatnot. I know, like a lot of the history stuff. I know. It's just I'm just scared.
Like, kick them off now. We're done.
Right, well, fun interview, but we'll see you later.
So a friend of mine and I we were supposed to go to Horror Nights the night Hurricane Ian hit, and we were like asking, like, in our group of friends who are all Universal Pass holders, like, hey, let's all go to Horror Nights, and like 3 of them were like, no, it's too scary, I can't do that. And like, these are people who go to Universal regular, and they're like, nope, can't do it.
I've done Horror Nights. It wasn't scary at all.
Oh, please, you go through a house. Okay. I like groped somebody I didn't even know. I jumped so hard.
Well, that's your fault.
Okay, so I will say to that though, I recently did do like a local haunt event that one of my friends got media to, and she invited me out there, called Sir Henry's, like a haunted trail, and I did 2 of the houses there. Was scared out of my mind, but I did them. But according to a lot of people who went that I know who usually go to Halloween Horror Nights, they said that Sir Henry's was a lot more intense than what Halloween Horror Nights was or is. Wow. And so I'm like, okay, if I don't go this year, I will definitely make the attempt to go next year, because I know a lot of people want me to go to Halloween Horror Nights with them.
We gotta do like a big meetup. If you don't go this year, it's like everyone we all gotta meet up next year and go as a unit.
Right. Not to jump too far, because I know we're gonna get there, but like I haven't done proper Horror Nights in 20 years. I've done 2 employee nights in the last 8 years, but I was supposed to do this year, and then Hurricane Ian hit. I was supposed to go with my friend Ian, and Hurricane Ian hit, and we're trying to go on Monday, and I don't know if it's going to happen. But who was just there?
Oh, yeah, for the anniversary. Yeah, he said it was actually really good. They had a lot of good stuff there this year.
But I'm an easy jump scare. Like, my husband could just walk out of a room and I'm like, ah!
Fun fact, my wife and I's first ever date was to a haunted house.
And you survived the relationship.
That's a pretty bold move.
We're starting
right
with Mickey's Not So Scary Halloween. So shall we start with some fun facts? Okay, so I'm going to go into some fun facts, a little bit of what you can expect if you're going to Mickey's Not So Scary Halloween. I know this is a beer podcast. Magic Kingdom still does not serve alcohol unless you have a sit-down reservation, which you can do a sit-down reservation, and you also can do the monorail, pub crawl before you go into Mickey's Not So Scary Halloween. So the first ever one was in 1995. Some of the perks of it is you get a special themed parade, but then you will be singing Boo to You for the next 2 weeks because it's just Boo to You. The meet and greets are fantastic. However, Jack and Sally was well over an hour. But the meet and greets are so good. Like, people will legit stay in these lines forever. The castle show has gotten better over the years. They used to not even have the Sanderson sisters or Jack Skellington. They are both staples in the castle show now. And it's all the candy you can carry. You can go from area to area. Although I do agree with DeAndre talking about the candy at SeaWorld. SeaWorld does have better candy than Disney when it comes to the Halloween stuff. And both places, the candy is no additional charge. It is included with the price of admission. There's some extras outside of the Haunted Mansion. You'll often see, like, you know, a bride walking around or something fun going on. There's dance parties with characters. So it's a great time. You know, you're to get to dance with Mr. Incredible and Miss Incredible and Woody, and there's all sorts of characters out, because you don't see that too often at Magic Kingdom, where the characters are out and about hanging out. There's something new. So I did not get to do Not So Scary this year, but my friend Erica did. So I asked her what is new. So they have some ride overlays. There's a ride overlay for Space Mountain. They took all the stars out. She said in Pirates of the Caribbean, they have actual pirate actors in the ride. And I guess there's an overlay on Teacups too, but she wasn't sure what it was. She thinks it's just music. Teacups is terrible. I hope to God I never have to do it again. I don't ever want to do it again. But there's an overlay for it.
Come on.
The fireworks are done twice and voiced by the ghost host. If the price of the ticket is too much for you, or if you went to Magic Kingdom that day and you're just like, I just can't do any more, if you're staying at one of the resorts that is on the monorail, or if you're staying at Fort Wilderness, they do pump the ghost host music into those resorts and you can watch the fireworks there. It's really cool. I've done it over at Fort Wilderness, and all of a sudden you hear, you know, welcome foolish mortals, and you don't even have to be in the park and you can still kind of get that feel. You don't get to see the awesomeness of the projection stuff on the castle, but it is really cool. And Fort Wilderness on its own does fun stuff. Like, you can go and get, you know, they do a campfire with marshmallows, and they'll play like the Ichabod Crane cartoon thing outside, and Chip and Dale come out, and that's a lot of fun. Even if you're not staying there, you can still go. If it's very full, they won't let you in, but you can park at Ticket and Transportation Center and take a boat there if you really want to check it out.
Nice.
So Erica did tell me that Jack at the castle is like not a person anymore. It's more like a puppet, and he's very tall and very kind of cool looking, but gangly. And you can YouTube that. There have been YouTubers that have put that on there. Throughout the park, there's smoke, there's music, there's pumpkins and projections of lights all over the place. There are special treats and whatnot you can find everywhere. And the party doesn't start until 7, but you can get in at 4, and it ends just after midnight. I will tell you, if you don't, I've done this more than once, if you don't have tickets to the event, but you just kind of want to see the park singing Boo to You, and usually they start playing This Is Halloween at about 7. If you're eating all the way by Splash Mountain in the what's the cowboy place? The cowboy restaurant over by Pirates and Splash Mountain, just sit there, get your food at 6:55, and then once they start kicking you out, you can walk out of the park while it's festive. And it's bittersweet, because it's like, oh, I don't get to have fun anymore, but oh, this is also really cool. Because then they're like, show me your wrist. Let me see they want to see your wristband if you have the Halloween thing. This is the only time adults are allowed to dress in full costume. However, I have been to Hollywood Studios on May the 4th, and that place looked like an actual intergalactic space station with a bunch of adults dressed up, and it was amazing. Sadly, this is all Walt Disney World does for Halloween. Outside of some decor and festive treats at Disney Springs, I have seen Duffy dressed in a pumpkin outfit at Epcot, but Duffy has since been retired from Epcot. And that's all we have in Orlando. Disneyland does have stuff at both parks. I think, Matt, you saw a little bit of that before you left when you were there in August.
Has some good stuff. So they turn like New Orleans into the Haunted Mansion. They have the big pumpkins. Everything's decorated pumpkin-wise. Jack Skellington's out. The Oogie Boogie Bash kicked off right after we were there. So they had like,
and that was at California Adventure Park,
and so
right?
Like they had, you know, Ernesto de la Cruz from Coco. Yeah. And it's Coco. I had to think there for a minute. We listen to all these songs every day, so they kind of blend together in my head, because my kids, they just Same things.
You didn't remember him?
I did. Remember Me. It's like one of my favorite jams too in a Disney song.
You better
but
remember him.
They have Encanto
it's so sad.
is another one, and they have a lot of really, really cool things. So I got a little taste this year, but I've never fully immersed myself into the Halloween at the parks. Because I did, however, get to do Horror Nights, which we'll talk about later. But DeAndre, you said this was your favorite. So tell us, what is it you love about this one? What are some things that really get you hyped up? You've been doing this one for years.
I think I will say a big factor of it is the fact that all guests can pretty much dress up in costumes, excluding masks and whatnot, because that's pretty much a Disney rule and whatnot. But I literally have pictures of me growing up with me and my family in different themed costumes, going to Mickey's Not So Scary and whatnot. Awesome. over many years and whatnot. And also just seeing the ambiance of the Magic Kingdom, they'd be going from this super magical fairy tale land to it's still super magical fairy tale land, but now we're just a little bit spooky. Nothing super crazy, but just enough to where it's it's a difference.
Not too scary.
And it's interesting to see. Yeah, not too scary. But it's an interesting conversion, and it's a great ambiance. Everybody's having a great time, and also a kid's gonna love getting all the candy.
Oh yeah, without a doubt.
I mean, I have given some of it out on Halloween Day, but you got to do.
If it's free candy, especially in this economy, good Lord.
So Erica, actually, they went, my friend, she went in the middle of September, and her daughter's birthday party was the next week. And she put a bunch of the candy in the piñata.
Oh, again, why wouldn't you? And there's
calling that a parenting hack.
There's something about, you were talking about how the family and everybody we went, I think what makes Disney so special, and people don't realize if you haven't really been there, is it's really a moment. It's for kids and adults. And especially when you get into things like Halloween, where it means something to you and you're sharing it with your kids. People don't really realize that's special. Yeah, it's expensive, sure. But at the same time,
all magic comes with a price.
It's experience, and you're getting that with a family, like you just said.
I was saying again, not when it comes to precious memories that you can get, you cannot put a price tag on. I mean, nowadays in this economy, Disney can definitely put a price tag on it.
I can put a price tag on it. That's for sure.
They are. They're upping those prices too.
I know that stuff is just so frustrating because we could go down a rabbit hole with that. My 5-year-old's obsessed with cars, and he hasn't been on Test Track because since he's been tall enough to go on it, well, the free fast passes are gone, and I'm not waiting an hour for it. Sorry, kid. I'm already dreading the day they take away the virtual queue for Cosmic Rewind, because I would rather wake up at 6:58 every single morning to go on that ride than have to wait for or by lightning lane or wait really long. Exactly.
Well, what's your thoughts on those?
So with the virtual queue, just because I'm the kind of guy who doesn't really like to plan super far ahead and whatnot, or have to wake up at certain times to do things, it kind of sucks. But I will say with Cosmic Rewind, in the sense, I have gotten extremely lucky. I've been on the attraction. I've been on the attraction twice. When it first opened, and one actually this past weekend with a friend, and both times I kind of misinterpreted how the reservation system worked, how to get in the virtual queue, because the first time I was on Disney property, but I was getting drinks at the Polynesian, thinking, I could just join the virtual queue while I'm over here, then right over to Epcot and get it, whatever. But the 1 o'clock you got to be in the park, so I'm like, okay, whatever. So this time when I went, I'm thinking, okay, I'm here first thing in the morning. I get to Epcot around 8 something. I'm like, okay, I got to be in the park so I can get to the queue, get into the reservation, get a queue. No, you can be outside the park for the 7 a.m. And no one ever explained it to me. But luckily, both times I did go.
They've been doing this with all of the new rides. But with Rise of the Resistance, it was very difficult to get. And so I had a hard time getting it. But with Cosmic Rewind, I've been on it 6 times now. 4 times has been the conga song. Let me tell you how exciting that is. I just want anything but the conga song. I like Gloria Estefan, but please, God, just stop the conga song. So there's 6 different songs you can get. But to get on that ride right now, because it's new, you have to join a virtual queue at 7 a.m. or you have to be inside the park at 1 p.m. to get on it. Now, here's the trick, though, is you want to have everything ready to go before the time, and you want to hit refresh like 3 seconds before 7 a.m. So you have to have, like, I look at my watch and I have it looking at seconds, and then I hit refresh at like 6:58. I literally have an alarm on my clock for 6:58 a.m. for the days I go to Epcot, so I can just do it. But as soon as that's done, it's like we're gonna have to wait a really long time. And like, I'm not buying the Lightning Lane. I have 3 kids. That's expensive as all hell. But okay, so yeah, they better not take away Lightning or the virtual queue before they do that Christmas overlay of Cosmic Rewind. So a few more fun facts before we go into some Disney Halloween movies. There are 176 differently carved pumpkins on Main Street, which you were talking about, like the atmosphere and the ambiance, like that sets it. Like before you even walk in, it's already been set. But walking down Main Street with all those pumpkins, there's 4.5 miles of cable installed for spooky lighting. And there are more than 250 tons of candy handed out. And this was a statistic from 2017. And I think that there's way more parties today than there were in 2017. So that number is probably much higher. All right, spooky Halloween movies. I'm going to go into a little bit of like super old spooky Halloween movies. And then we've probably talked actually, before we go into it, DeAndre, what's your favorite Disney Halloween movie? It can be anything. It can be a short. It can be Hocus Pocus. It can be Haunted Mansion. It can be something totally random.
All right, but yeah, if I had to pick any special, it would definitely be like the House of Mouse Halloween special where the villains took over. That is definitely one of my favorites.
And why isn't that on Disney Plus? Disney, what the hell? I have to pull out that scratched DVD every year?
It's not. I've been trying to show my kids this
So
one.
Anybody not familiar with that, it has a bunch of actual Disney shorts, and it's fantastic. So I have some fun facts for some of those Disney shorts that you actually see. So Disney's been making this spooky kid stuff since 1929 with Haunted House, which we saw a remake of in the House of Mouse and then it becomes the House of Villains. And that was featuring a black and white Mickey cartoon. It was the 14th Mickey short to ever be produced. And the Haunted House actually borrowed animation from Disney's first silly symphony cartoon, The Skeleton Dance, which was released earlier that year in 1929. Then in 1933, we got the Gorilla cartoon, which is in that House of Mouse cartoon. And in 1952, we got the short with Huey, Dewey, and Louie, also in that cartoon, singing Trick or Treat on Halloween. And then I have in my notes to discuss that movie because that movie is perfection. Some of these shorts you can find on Disney Plus, but why you can't find House of Mouse, I don't know. We need to start a petition. And that's all I got. Everybody, I think, who's listened to us before knows my feelings on Nightmare Before Christmas. It's the best movie ever. Lion King's the best movie ever. Then Nightmare. I have my Jackie glass here. And we've gone into a lot of Hocus Pocus. And I'll let Matt take it from here with some Halloween Town.
Oh man, Halloween Town? That's one of my favorites.
I'm too old for Halloween Town.
Straight up. Halloween Town. It was one that was, so I was 9 years old when Halloween Town came out, and it was like I had mentioned in one of our TikToks, right? It was
I was already going to Blink 182 concerts then.
I could have too, but my, whatever. Anyway,
your parents would have had to take you.
My parents didn't appreciate, my parents didn't care about me. Who am I kidding? But I was 9. So this was actually the second Disney Channel movie in production and the 4th one to come out. So Disney Channel original movies, they were so hot. Like Brink, I was all on board with all these movies. So Halloween Town was one of the
Paris
first
Hilton
ones
hot?
I've seen. Yes, they were so hot. Or what's his name from Zoolander. But Disney Channel original, so hot right now. So hot. And so
Paris Hilton was in Supernatural.
This movie, it's still a good movie. Did you actually know that her and the villain got married? The main character And the villain of this, not the old guy, because that'd be really fucking weird, but the other kid, I forget their names.
She makes TikToks about it. It's actually really funny.
Exactly.
Yeah, it's quite adorable.
They got married, and it is adorable, and she still looks the same. But
she does still look the same. Yeah.
I showed my kids this movie, and they really loved it too. Which again, anytime that I show my kids something I enjoyed, and then my kids like it, like that's that instant bond right there. And I don't care what it is, but you just. It's those memories that you're not going to beat because, again, one day you're going to get old. But so Halloween Town, to me, I like this. And there's actually a Halloween Town in Oregon starting September 30th. I believe they do a whole Halloween Town festival for a whole month during Halloween. So this movie transcends.
And it has Princess Leia's mom.
It does. And that's all I have to say about Halloween Town. They made a couple of sequels that aren't as good as the first one because rarely is it ever. But if you haven't watched Halloween Town, that one's on Disney Plus at least.
Fucking House of Mouse, man.
I have so many opinions of what we should.
I'm glad you said that. It was a perfect segue.
Like I have so many opinions about House of Mouse. Like literally, honestly, I don't know why they haven't done it, but we can literally have a House of Mouse in Disney Springs where literally you have dinner while also watching the Disney like the shorts, especially since they're doing the newer shorts now. Like,
yeah, they should do that at the drive-in.
Why are we doing this?
The sci-fi drive-in.
They
should replace it at Halloween with the House of Mouse cartoons. That would be amazing.
Like
see, this is why people like us should take over Disney. I just want a job where I just tell them what to do.
I keep saying this to my friends. The Disney company doesn't want me in charge. I would change a lot of things, but that's a whole.
No, they don't want any of us.
That's a whole other podcast.
Maybe
that is a whole other podcast.
Some of our ideas. They can use our ideas though to get some fresh ideas. You know, we got some things that we're totally psyched out of our mind about.
So here's a bit of a side note. I was at I talked about this on Hops News a little bit. I was at a beer fest this past weekend, and I was talking to the owner of Central 28 Beer Company, which their beers are almost at all of the beer fests, or not the beer fest, the festivals at Epcot. They always have some sort of beer somewhere. And I had asked him about it because we've had Big Rick, who works for the brewery, on our beer podcast, and he was telling us about it. And I mentioned to the owner of Central 28, like, oh, I love the beers you guys do for Epcot. Like the waffle ale was great. I think it was at like Food and Wine years ago. And he goes, oh yeah, when Epcot wants a beer, they just come to us and they're like, we want a waffle beer and we need this much and we need it by then. And he's like, okay, like Disney just tells them like, this is the kind of beer you're making and this is how much we need. And he said they're fantastic about like, cause I'm like, well, what happens when it runs out? He goes, they always seem to know exactly how much beer they need. Like they just tell me what to do and I do it.
Somebody gets paid for that.
Yeah, Disney, they just, I want that job though. I want to go to the local breweries and tell them what to make and tell them how much I want.
This is what you're doing for the mouse.
That would be great.
Yes. That's the dream job right there.
Maybe we're doing this whole life thing all wrong. Hold on.
Definitely.
I've been questioning that how I'm doing this ever since like the military. So
Lauren gets back on track. We got Universal.
Right, so let's talk about Horror Nights. All right. So the first Horror Nights, actually, when I looked this up, I found a lot of interesting fun facts. And I'm once I go through mine, I'm curious to hear, because you said you were not a fan of it, but that you know a lot about it. So Horror Nights, the first one ever, was in 1991. It was originally called Friday Nights, and it did so well that it got more days. It started with just shows in a haunted maze, which was in the queue of Jaws. Rest in peace, Jaws. It's now Diagon Alley. Scare actors had to show up in costume and makeup. By 1994, they had actual scare actor school, and you didn't have to show up in makeup. That first year, the focus was on the classic monsters such as the Wolfman, Bride of Frankenstein, Frankenstein's monster, Dracula, the creature from the Black Lagoon, and the Mummy. Which again, rest in peace to the Munster Cafe, which they took away at Universal right before Horror Nights. I don't understand why, but I love that you guys can't see DeAndre, but he keeps doing the like. If only I were Catholic, then I could actually do the thingy that Daredevil does.
Gotta make sacrifice.
The next year, Friday Nights.
Exactly.
Yes. Force them out. They became Horror Nights. But what was interesting, though, is some of the rides actually got overlays. Like there were monsters running through the woods in E.T., which thank God we still have E.T. So here's another, we're going to pour it out for Bill and Ted. So the Bill and Ted show first debuted in 1992, and sadly that ended in 2017. Bill and Ted was an excellent comedy show. It was always during Horror Nights, and I remember going to it as a kid in the 90s, and then the last time I went to it was in 2016, and when I went to it, I went in 2016 and 2015, and they just kept making fun of Disney and Avatar. They always had the Avatar person coming out with the Mickey ears because Avatar Land hadn't opened up. But then once Avatar Land opened up and everybody was like, holy shit, this is amazing. Even though nobody's cared about this movie in a long time, they, were like, oh, maybe we can't make fun of it. But it was so funny. It was so great. And I find it very interesting that they canceled the show right before they redid a movie.
True.
But bring it back. In 2002, the party moved from Universal to Islands. Okay, here's my major faux pas. I went in 2002, and they did a whole thing with Carnage in the Marvel area, and I remember none of that because the only thing I knew about Marvel in 2002 was Spider-Man and X-Men. I did not know who Carnage was. I don't remember any of this, and it makes me so sad because when I read that, I was like, wow, that'd be amazing. I wish I had been there. And I was like, oh, fuck, I was there. So 2004, it opened up at both parks, and now it's back to just Universal. So it started at Universal, and it's back to Universal. In 2010, there was a contest to win a wedding at Horror Nights, and some couple from Vermont actually won, and they got married there. So that's pretty cool. 2020, there was actually no party. The park was open, but they were trying to socially distance. We all know Universal didn't really care, but they didn't have a party that year because they were pretending. I was there. Nobody was socially distancing. It was a disaster. Well, Disney was actually like, pull up your princess mat or pull up your mask, princess, like keep 6 feet away. Universal's like, oh, you're walking and eating. Okay, that's cool.
Yeah, Disney was ruthless,
like, get over there.
They were like about to fight my then 2-year-old when we first went, or 3-year-old. And she was 2 at that point, and they were about to fight her about putting her mask over her nose. I was like, geez, the mouse, man.
Meanwhile, Universal, there's a whole family walking and eating, and they're like, "You're good, you're eating."
Look, when that happened, that was
I got yelled at when I was with you.
Yeah. Hey, look, this is the one time that the cast members got the chance to be like, "Hey, yo, I can directly tell you to do something, and I can be as stern as I want to about something. Let me have this."
What was funny though is when I told people like Disney is the safest place to be during COVID, they're like, okay, sure. And I'm like, no, I'm being serious. Like they're not messing around.
No, it was. But you're right. Those cast members had so much pent up aggression.
All right. So today there are many shows, big and small, many houses, lots of scare zones. Some of the haunted houses change from year to year. We've seen Werewolf in London, The Walking Dead, Halloween, Krampus, Saw, Resident Evil. It goes on and on. The scare zones have gotten more intense. I do remember them being able to touch you in the 90s. Again, this is my little kid memory. They are not allowed to touch you now. Everything's decorated. They have specialty themed food. And one of the things they have over Disney is they have Halloween beer. They have pumpkin beer. There was another beer I saw. If anybody who's into beer, you should be following the Pint-Sized Traveler. She is married to one of the owners of Tactical. She posts some phenomenal stuff. She's a huge Universal fan, a huge Harry Potter fan, and she posted a really good sour beer. I can't remember what it was, but she had it at Horror Nights this year. If you're going to Universal, but you don't want to do the party, or it's a lot of money. Everything's a lot of money. Death Eaters can be found in Hogsmeade all season long, not just at Horror Nights. And there is a Halloween store that is always in Islands of Adventure near Hogsmeade, and it's open all year. And also City Walk this year turned one of their places into the Dead Coconut Club, and it's I want it to be a pub. That would be cooler. It's an all original monster themed place, and the resorts do a lot of Halloween pop-ups too. That's all I got about the parks.
I got to actually go into the Dead Coconut and chill with some friend, like with a friend who came into town, and it was a vibe. I really liked it. The drinks were great. There was live entertainment. Like literally, like pretty much like a showgirl kind of like pretty much think like a 50s kind of like bootleg doo wop girl singing to you. I will say it's definitely. I think that the night we went, that was either the first or second night they did the live showing, and it kind of showed a little bit just because the audio wasn't really set up for like a show, but it just comes with prep time and whatnot. But for the most part, it was really cool, and I enjoyed it.
Nice. I've seen pictures. It looks pretty cool, but I haven't been over there yet.
I've been to Halloween Horror Nights once. This was 2014, and the only thing I remember is Purge was big that year, and so like we were waiting, and they would shut it down. Then they'd do the Purge sirens, and all those people would come out, and then the Walking Dead had a house. And then I remember waiting 2 hours to go into the Michael Myers house, which was pretty rad because it was set up like the house from the 78 Halloween movie. And they would be doing stuff and you'd actually see Michael Myers like in the window and stuff like that. And he'd disappear and you get to walk through. That one was probably my most vivid memory of Halloween Horror Nights. Like that was the dopest thing on earth compared to Halloween. Oh, get me off the Halloween subject.
Angry about the recent movie.
Yes. But the Halloween Horror Nights was awesome. Like those are the things I remember. Like Walking Dead was at its height at this point. And so they had a house there. The Purge was big. They had people going around with chainsaws and stuff like that. It was really cool, I thought.
Oh, yeah. You always got the chainsaw people there. I did Walking Dead in 2015, and it was literally like you were walking through the seasons. I think it was only season 4 then because you ended at like Terminus. And I was with a friend who had not seen Walking Dead. So we're going through and I'm like, oh, that's season 1. Oh, that's this. And it was, just pinpointing the seasons. But I don't remember that one being scary. It was more like you were in The Walking Dead. And then they had like zombies just like walking around when you're in the line. I'm sorry, walkers. Krampus, I think, was the most entertaining house I ever went into because you walk in and it is like Christmas Martha Stewart. And then all of a sudden there's like air being shot at you and it's like gingerbread cookies attacking you.
Oh, God.
So I really liked that house. All right,
DeAndre,
you guys got anything else before I go into?
DeAndre knows a lot about, he was telling us he knows a lot about Halloween Horror Nights. I know you've never been, but drop some knowledge.
So I will say a lot of my knowledge pretty much just comes from like different people on YouTube that I watch, specifically Expedition theme parks and Defunctland and whatnot. And basically, I forgot what specific year it was, but that like there was a stretch of time where like they started going with like pretty much like, okay, we have a central character that we are creating to where they are the icon of this year, and there was just a long stretch of characters that were just really, really great. And then it got weird when Bloody Mary and then other people started getting it, but it was still kind of great.
I think it was 2000. They brought in the clown,
Jack
or
the
whatever.
Clown.
Yeah, the creepy clown. Yeah. That's why my cousin won't go because of clowns, right there.
And then literally the next year, it was funny enough, actually the icon for the next year was supposed to be Jack's younger brother, I believe. And basically it was advertised to basically be like the most goriest and scariest Halloween Horror Nights ever. But then, 2001, certain events happened and they kind of removed him from being the icon. So it's kind of definitely what could have been kind of situation, but I had to pay respects and whatnot. And then one other weird little fact. There was a writer for when I believe it was still Fright Nights, or when they were doing that in the early phases. There was a guy who pretty much wrote a show before Bill and Ted. It was the Bates Motel show. So it pretty much had Norman Bates, things like that, and the Blues Brothers. And his name is Rob Schneider. And funny enough, he look like you say
not the same.
I mean, not
it's not. Yeah,
it's not the same person.
Oh.
But I will say, funny enough, that this guy, one of his best known roles, he was the original Dream Finder in Epcot. He created the Dream Finder and Figment characters.
Wow.
Oh.
Dang. Oh, wow.
Oh, how fun. We saw Dreamfinder. We were actually at Utah recently for the Salt Lake Con,
Yes.
and there was a guy dressed like him, and he had Figment on his shoulder.
Oh, that's great. Like,
oh, that's
I
fun.
know Epcot's bringing Figment back for me and Grace. We need to bring back Dreamfinder. Just do that. Like it'll begin the steps of healing that pavilion.
They should, honestly, yeah. Yeah.
Oh my gosh. Just can you take away the skunk smell and I'll be better with that area because it's my son's favorite ride.
just breathe deep before it happens and we'll make it work.
I know I do when I hold my breath, but it lingers. It's terrible.
Horror Nights though, it's the most like iconic because a lot of people, I would say, in my opinion, just my bubble, right? Horror Nights is probably the more popular one than Disney's Oogie Boogie Bash things. But that's my own personal bubble. Like everybody that I see going down to Orlando this time of year is going to Horror Nights. I know it's probably different living in Florida, but that's just my bubble again.
Well, let's just say Disney. I looked at tickets for Not So Scary in September and everything was sold out except for one day in October. Meanwhile, you can buy tickets for Horror Nights like tomorrow.
Really?
Yeah. Disney's Not So Scary is definitely more popular, and Not So Scary Now starts like beginning of August, and Horror Nights doesn't start till mid-September. Yeah, I think that's a huge thing too, especially because like when I went as a kid, I don't think that they were like, don't bring your kids. Now it's like they tell you can bring somebody who's under, I think it's 13. Yeah,
this is a family event. You're just gonna be chased around by bloody chainsaw people.
No, Universal now they're like they tell you do not bring anybody. I think I want to say it's 13, but I'm not certain. But you can, but they recommend you don't.
Can your kids handle it?
You decide.
Can your friend handle it?
I definitely can
handle it. I do want to go back just to see like how it's evolved because I've been there once and it was a long time ago, but I feel like now people are pushing the envelope as far as scary. Like you hear about all of those. There's that one place in like Tennessee or whatever that they make you sign waivers and stuff for, and people willingly get tortured and things. And it's like, why would anybody do this stuff?
Yeah, I don't get that.
I'm not going to go to a scary place so somebody can punch my teeth out.
That's like a fetish thing. Like we're not going into
like,
that.
You can't even hit them back. Like you're not going to drown me and I can't even touch you back. No, absolutely not.
That's
all right. So I'll go into some monsters and then we can do some shout outs to Busch Gardens and SeaWorld.
Hit it.
So there's too many rabbit holes to go down completely with the Universal monsters. So I'm thinking actually next year we should do a whole episode or a few on the actual monsters. And that would be awesome. But we're going to talk about some random old school Universal monster facts right now, as the originals are still being used as inspiration today. So here's a fun fact. Boris Karloff, who was the old school Frankenstein's monster, is the original voice of the Grinch.
Oh.
1931 Dracula was the first horror movie to not have a just kidding twist to it, which I found really funny. So this led to many other classic horror movies like Frankenstein. It also set the tone for vampires being sexy, which has continued today, weirdly. However, fangs did not show up until the 50s. Okay.
It's weird. There's like this whole thing where like people are wearing fangs and stuff like that again. It's kind of weird.
They talk about that in Supernatural.
I don't understand the appeal to people wearing fangs.
So this is an ongoing joke for anybody who's new to listening and for our guest. I love Supernatural. I think it's an amazing show. Matt has never seen a single episode. So every show we record, I have Supernatural Easter eggs. I don't know why he hates it so much. He's never even seen it. But they actually make fun of people wearing vampire fangs. It's a whole thing. And he's like, you're wearing glitter. And he's like, yeah. And he's like, it's to get girls. And he's like, does it work? And he's like, yeah. Because they thought he was a real vampire and they were about to chop off his head. Because that's the real way to kill vampires. So the first Mummy movie from the 30s had a scene where the Egyptian is being wrapped, and they actually recreate this exact scene in the Brendan Fraser movie, and both of them are being wrapped alive. They also go into the whole archaeologist not leaving shit alone and then paying for it later. So we see that in the original Mummy movie, and we see it today. The 30s Frankenstein had the Frankenstein's monster who was innocent and ignorant. Actually, Matt, you just watched that actual movie, right?
Which one?
The original Frankenstein?
Yeah, I did at work. So I was half paying attention.
So why don't you tell us a little bit about what that movie was like? Because I've never actually seen the whole thing.
Well, a lot of people just remember Frankenstein's monster, and they remember, but upon rewatch, it's a very short film. It's only about a little more than an hour long, and Frankenstein's monster, it brings it to life, and he just wants to live a normal life. But people are so terrified of this thing that they try to turn it into a monster, which some things transcend the 30s. It's not so different in the 2020s, but it's black and white. I know that turns a lot of people off, but it's not bad whatsoever. It's still a really good watch, and it has a lot of themes that still ring true to movies today or even real life today.
And I know that in this he ends up like killing the little girl on accident, but he's innocent and he's ignorant and he's like a child.
The whole thing is he's a child's mentality, and he just wants to live life and be left alone, but the human race won't let him be. Right. Because he's a monster. So
it's like Jessica Rabbit, though. He wasn't, he's not bad. He's just drawn that way. But you see that Frankenstein monster in the movie Monster Squad, too. So, spoilers. All right. So Invisible Man is the next one. This movie was about a scientist who experimented on himself, and he has newfound powers. That the powers don't actually make him evil, though. It is his true evil nature is allowed to be exposed because he's invisible. And we saw this in Hollow Man with Kevin Bacon. And there was a recent Invisible Man movie that came out with Elizabeth Moss not too long ago.
Okay, that one was super freaking good.
Yeah, I didn't hate that. So 90 years later, these monsters are still staples and classics that will never die. No pun intended. And
some things transcend.
That is all I have. I do have a shout out to SeaWorld. We talked about them before with Spooktacular. It's mainly geared towards kids. However, they are doing Howl-O-Scream. DeAndre, have you been to Howl-O-Scream?
I also have not been to Howl-O-Scream, but I have been hearing good things about there's always been good things about Busch Gardens Howl-O-Scream, but in the one that SeaWorld did, I've also been hearing really good things about. So definitely next, if I can get to it this year, but definitely next year, I will be paying it a visit. And will be scared out of my mind.
I will say, so Spooktacular, if you have a SeaWorld annual pass or you buy a ticket, it's included. It's part of it. But this year they just added Howl-O-Scream, and I have heard good things too. It is an additional ticket, but it's like $40 compared to Disney some nights is like $175. Universal, it depends on the night you go to. So Universal some nights is $75, some nights it's $150. It depends on the night you go. So SeaWorld, ever since Blackfish, they're just like, please just come. You can come for free. Please just come. But I've heard good things about Howl-O-Scream. So,
well, as we go ahead and we wrap up, DeAndre, do you have any final thoughts about the parks this time of year?
Like the parks this time of year, it's a vibe. There's a vibe for everybody. Family, if you want the good family times, you can go to Mickey's Not So Scary. You can pull up to SeaWorld for trick or treating and whatnot. Or if your family can handle it, go to Halloween Horror Nights. But there is something for everybody. It's just a different feel. It's a different feel, and I highly recommend just checking it out if you're in the area. And do not be afraid to go to Busch Gardens or SeaWorld.
Yeah,
it's pretty much a good experience on a budget as well.
Yeah, and SeaWorld's got a great craft beer bar.
Yes, they do.
That's true.
I haven't been to Busch Gardens in 17 years.
We got to get you right.
But as we wrap up, why don't you go ahead and tell folks one last time where they can find you at?
All right, so you can find me on TikTok mainly at the theme park Blerd. That is THE space THEME space PARK space BLERD. I don't know why I added spaces in there, but just to help you find that. And you can also find me pretty much on the same name on Instagram and on Twitter if you want to follow me. But yeah, I just do a lot of funny comedy stuff. So hopefully you enjoy what you see.
I enjoy it. And thank you for coming and hanging out with us. We talked a little theme park action this year. And if you can get to the theme parks, go to the theme parks. It's awesome. It's amazing. It's a whole vibe, and bring the family. Cause as you can see, 3 different perspectives of people who have been going a very long time, somebody who's taken their family a few times, and somebody who lives right there. There's something for everybody there, and you're going to find something special. So do that. Follow DeAndre. Make sure next week you tune in, as we are going to do a Nightmare on Elm Street commentary with the Cheap Seats podcast. Lauren's never seen this movie, and it's actually the first horror movie that I've ever watched ever. And I think I was like 8 years old when I watched this movie. So tune in. We're going to be doing that to finally wrap up our Halloween month. Appreciate y'all for listening. And until next time, catch us everywhere. Hops Geek News. That's where we can be found. Social medias and podcasting. Support your fan.